anything that's stuck improper.
Is there any problem with Listerine strips or mouthwash on Yom Kippur?
I thought there was no problem. Somebody said in the name of Rabbi Moshe Feinstein that just like it's forbidden to bathe the body on the outside, so you're not allowed to bathe your mouth on the inside. So if you rinse out your mouth with these Listerine, this is for the purpose of cleaning out the mouth. So they said in the name of Rabbi Moshe Feinstein that that's a violation of Rechitza Sapeh, Zoser on Yom Kippur. Interesting idea. I don't know. But I don't think it's prohibited because of the Isser of eating food. If the Listerine strip is not Ro'el Achila.
Listerine strips are no longer under Hashgacha.
Uh-huh.
You're not eating it.
I don't...
So is that an issue?
I don't think it's an issue. People don't eat it. What happens? It dissolves in the saliva.
Right.
Dissolves in the saliva. I think.
Is that different than mouth?
I remember one rabbi asked me this, and I told him I think it's permissible to use the Listerine strips. So he told his balabatim, he's only going to tell his balabatim. So he announced in his shul by Mincha on Erev Yom Kippur, so that a big city, so the other shuls wouldn't know this secret. Only the balabatim would daven by him in his shul. So they told me that on Yom Kippur they had these containers of Listerine strips, and they were putting in 35 strips in their mouth at one time, because it accumulates a lot of saliva, and they were swallowing the saliva. So to do that is not allowed. To accumulate a lot of saliva in your mouth on Yom Kippur in order to swallow is not allowed. But if you normally swallow saliva, that's not prohibited on Yom Kippur. The saliva is not considered food. So Listerine strip, I don't think it dissolves in the saliva, and then ultimately you're going to swallow part of the saliva, all the saliva. I don't think that's prohibited.
But is it permissible to use during the year without a hashgacha?
I think so. The thing is not edible. It's not, you can't have a prohibition. You can't have an Isra Achila on something that's not edible. You can't put this in your mouth and start eating it. A piece of paper can't be traced. And this piece of paper is not going to last long enough that it should swallow it down your throat. It's going to dissolve in your saliva. You don't swallow saliva. If you intend to swallow it, then you're going to have a shot. Normal people don't intend to swallow the saliva. They just want to clean out their mouth. I don't know about this issue. They said that Rabbi Moshe Feinstein said that is considered cleaning out your mouth. That's something to consider. I don't know about that.
Following on that, vitamins, do they have to be kosher?
Vitamins, if they're not tasty, strict. If you have something non-kosher, even if you swallow without chewing it, it's also called achila. Let's say when I ate Cheerios this morning for breakfast, I didn't chew every single Cheerio. The Cheerios are tiny enough that you can swallow it. A normal person doesn't swallow a gigantic piece of food. They can choke for tiny pieces of food the size of a pill. That's normal to swallow without chewing it. That's called achila. But if the thing doesn't taste good, so nifsam achila sodom, and most non-kosher foods, once it's not royal achila sodom, it's not fit for human consumption. If it doesn't have flavoring in it, if it tastes awful or has no taste at all, no one in its right mind will want to eat that if not for the fact that it has medical value, vitamin value, nutritional value. So nifsam achila sodom is okay. To sit and to swallow a whole bottle full, let's say a guy's watching television, he's going to keep on popping one pill into his mouth, another pill, like you pop in popcorn. So that's not allowed. Even though the thing is nifsam achila sodom, that's prohibited midrabanan. That the accepted opinion of Shulchan Aruch is that's prohibited midrabanan. Because I sit and I eat a whole jar full, so I demonstrate that as far as I'm concerned, it is royal achila sodom. But if you take one pill a day, or one pill every 12 hours or something, that's not called achshva. You're not demonstrating that as far as you're concerned the thing is edible. The problem is...
Even though you don't chew it, you just swallow it.
Right.
It's still considered achila.
That's called achila, yeah. Because it's the size of the Cheerios. So that's not...
So what about something like glucosamine? Glucosamine is a vitamin or a supplement that people take for their... What's it made out of?
It's made out of
Shellfish.
What does it taste like if you'd eat it? It tastes awful. It doesn't taste like anything. So strictly speaking, the thing is kosher. Moshe Feinstein writes this in a concluding paragraph to a different tshuva. He didn't even consider this worthy of writing a whole tshuva. He just tacked it on at the end of another tshuva, and he says if you can get with a hashgacha within reason, it's not going to be 20 times as expensive. To get with hashgacha, it's better. It's always preferable to avoid eating non-kosher food, even if strictly speaking there's no prohibition. But if it's not available, so strictly speaking, all the pills are kosher. The Gemara tells about Moshe Rabbeinu. The Chumash says that when they found Moshe Rabbeinu, the little baby in the baskets, he was crying. It was time for him to nurse. So they gave him over to the non-Jewish women to nurse, and he wouldn't nurse by any of them. So they had to get him a Jewish woman, so they got his own mother. They were paying the mother. They were paying his mother, she should nurse her own baby. So the Medrash comments, why did Moshe Rabbeinu not want to nurse from the non-Jewish women? So in the Shulchan Aruch they quote this Medrash, because the non-Jewish women certainly ate non-kosher food, and whatever food the mother eats is going to go into the milk, the baby's diaper. I mean, the baby has a dirty diaper, so it's going to be different colors depending on what the mother ate that day for breakfast. So clearly the milk is affected by what the woman ate. So the Moshe Rabbeinu was going to grow up to be a big prophet, a big Navi. So that wasn't Kavod Ashchina, Pesha, also the Dabrim Ashchina. The mouth of Moshe Rabbeinu is going to become a Navi, he's going to speak to God. It's not right that he should nurse from a non-Jewish woman who is eating non-kosher food. So that's what they say in Shulchan Aruch, that if the mother is unable to nurse her child, so she gets a non-Jewish woman to nurse the baby, so you should try to see to it that the non-Jewish woman should eat only kosher food those days that she's nursing the Jewish baby. Maybe your baby will be a lucky winner. Maybe he'll become like Moshe Rabbeinu. Maybe he'll become a prophet. And by having him nursed by the non-Jewish woman, you're going to kill his chances of developing to become a prophet. So that's what Moshe Feinstein is probably basing it on. Strictly speaking, the milk is just as kosher whether the non-Jewish person ate kosher food or non-kosher food. The milk is kosher. There's nothing wrong with the milk. But still, whenever possible, one should avoid ingesting non-kosher food, even though everything is beheaded. So he says that if you can get kosher pills not too much more expensive than the non-kosher pills, you should try that. And if it's not available, so strictly speaking, all the non-kosher pills are kosher, unless you have a flavor in it. Sometimes the flavors are non-kosher. Sometimes the pill itself is no problem, and the flavoring is non-kosher. So then you got a problem. You're eating the non-kosher flavoring.
Well, how does that apply to gel caps? Right? A lot of pills are made out of gel caps, and they're not kosher.
Right.
Following up on what you said.
Right. So I think most are of the opinion that a gel cap, strictly speaking, is not called roy lachila. As the gel cap is now, it's not roy lachila. Others argue the point, and they say, no, this gel cap, if you take a little teaspoon of warm water, the whole gel cap will dissolve. And it'll taste normal. It'll taste delicious. The water will taste delicious. So others argue the point that even though now in the present state, the gel cap is like eating a piece of plastic, which Meshugana wants to eat plastic, it's not roy lachila sodom, and since it can be easily converted, you don't need a fancy chemical procedure over here. All you have to do is, I never tried it, but that's what they told me. You can take a gel cap and dissolve it in a teaspoon of warm water, and the warm water will taste a little bit like schmaltz. It'll take schmaltzy. So some argue the point and they say that's not called nifsa ma'achila sodom. But I think the majority of the Rabban, the consensus is that all the gel caps, strictly speaking, are called not roy lachila sodom, and they're all kosher. I once asked Rabbi Soloveitchik about it. So he said it's kosher. So I asked him, is the reason why because we only swallow it, we don't chew it? So this was always his answer. I'm not mechuyev to tell you the reason why. That caused a lot of... he would always give a psak, he wouldn't tell you the reason. So he said, I'm not mechuyev to tell you the reason why. If I would force my psak on you, then Taisa says you have to give the reason. But I didn't force it, you asked me the psak. So I said, no, the one who asked me to ask you the shaila thinks that that's the reason. So he says, tell him that that's not the reason why. I'm not going to tell you the reason, but that's not the reason. I'm not going to tell you that's not the reason why. Just because you swallow it, that is called achila. I think it probably meant the same as what Moshe Feinstein writes, that the thing is not roy lachila. Not roy lachila. So strictly speaking, is mutter. If I take a steak, let's say I left out a salami out of the refrigerator for a month, and it's awful, it's not roy lachila sodom. If a person will eat it, he'll get an upset stomach. So min haTorah, you're allowed to eat the treif salami. It's not roy, it's not fit for human consumption. But if you sit and you eat the whole salami, so that's forbidden midrabanan, because you demonstrate that as far as you're concerned, it is roy lachila. But if I just take one treif pill, I'm not demonstrating that it's roy lachila. It's a medication. People rub things on their skin for medication. People do all kinds of things for medication. So you pop a pill in your mouth, doesn't mean that you're demonstrating that the pill is roy lachila. So I think most are of the opinion that the gel caps are the same as all the other treif pills.
I think
I'm not hesitant. It's also the smoking. What's it from?
So why isn't that more? I mean, it's so, it's such a trend in the Yiddish community to smoke. I mean, like so many people.
More and more Rabbanim are coming out publicly and prohibiting smoking. Right. There's one Hasidic Rebbe in Hershel who was brought up in Washington Heights. The Vienna Rebbe, Dr. Breya's son. Those who learned in YU, Dr. Breya. He used to teach Tanakh in the yeshiva in the college. So his son became a Hasidic Rebbe, the Vienna Rebbe, because the grandfather, Rabbi Breya's father-in-law, was the Vienna Rebbe. And his son, Rabbi Breya's brother-in-law, the son of the Vienna Rebbe, is not Rebbe material. He's a nice man. He wears a long black jacket, but he's not Rebbe material. So the grandson became the Rebbe. So he decided, he has a yeshiva in Eretz, he decided he's not going to let them smoke in the Beis Medrash. So they kept on smoking. So he said he's not going to walk into the Beis Medrash until they stop smoking. So they wanted their Rebbe to come into the Beis Medrash. He stopped the smoking. And more yeshivas, they're stopping the smoking. They realize they're dying from cancer. They're dying from lung cancer. So what's the chachma? Of course it's dangerous. Of course it's prohibited. It's prohibited to eat fattening foods. All of us have such a yetzer hara. We violate our errors all the time. But it's forbidden to eat all these junk foods and all the fattening foods and everything. You have to keep yourself healthy. You have to be crazy about it, but no. You have to keep your body healthy in a normal fashion.